Should I give Jeep a second chance? Let's find that out in today's video. Now, this Wrangler that I'm using for the video is provided by the Jeep here in Sandy. I'll include a link to their website in the description down below. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get right into it. If I were to give Jeep a second chance, this is the only way I'd give them a second chance, is going for another 392. And that's because this 6.4 liter V8 pushes out 470 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque in an SUV that is in the mid 5,000 pound range. It is crazy. Now, I am trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Another thing that I love about the 392 is the Hydro Guide. It gives it such a distinctive appearance. This newest iteration of the 392 not only has a steel bumper from the factory, it has a winch from the factory and this cool satin grille. And so I think this is just the best looking front end that has ever been on a Wrangler. Now, this has 35-inch tall tires from the factory, but you can easily upgrade to 37s. And I actually really like these new step sliders they have. And speaking of new, the new axle setup makes the 392 and just all the new Wranglers handle a lot better. And well, when it comes to looks, with this bright green, it's such a cool looking Wrangler. And did I mention steel from the factory? Now, there are some downsides. First off, I find this whole setup annoying to open. Not the end of the world, but what is a little bit more annoying is just the overall cargo space. Just like a Bronco, it has this cage, it's painted, it looks really cool, but it does rob quite a bit of space in the cargo area. Another thing, Jeep never fixed the ugly appearance of the exhaust, but again, aftermarket exhaust always fixes that, but that's more money too. And then popping inside. Now, I'm still a huge fan of Wrangler interiors. I think they do a really good job with the materials, including the seats. They're easy to clean and they actually feel premium for an off-roader. But one big downside, you can't move the front seat all that far back, and you don't have a ton of room in the backseat area anyways. When I say a ton of room, you got a ton of headroom, just not leg room, and more specifically car seat room. I will say I actually do like the keyless entry. I don't have that in my Grenadier, and that's been something that I've kind of missed. Now, although these front seats look really cool, something that I will critique is actually the power seat adjustment. Don't care for that. I like the manual seat function more. Even with the valves closed, something that I'll never get sick of is the V8 sound. So still a huge fan of the overall steering wheel design. I will say this material does kind of fade over time. I did notice that with my Rubicon a little bit, but kind of par for the course with modern cars. And this is the only Wrangler with paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel, which is another cool thing. Now, Jeep still uses a mostly analog gauge cluster, which I think is super unique in the car industry today. And the camera system on the Wrangler, although not a 360, it's more than adequate for off-road use. Still not a fan of this whole new screen situation. I think the previous screen was way better integrated into the dash setup. And I think this will never get old. The whole center control stack with the physical buttons is just perfect. And you guys know I'm into off-roading, so this is still a Rubicon. It has diff locks front rear, sway bar disconnect, auxiliary switches. It also has a full-time four-wheel drive system with a 2-speed transfer case. And this is something else that I really like about the Wrangler, just how open it is in the center. It makes the cabin feel a little bit bigger. And all the center console is not huge, gets the job done. And then they have added a little bit more glass insulation in the Wrangler, and then a little bit better insulation up top as well. However, this leads us to one big downside with the final edition, and it's the price. $102,585 is the MSRP. Now, I bought a 392 back in 2022. Absolutely love that. And part of the reason why I loved it so much is it was closer to 80 grand for the price. And so although this has some improvements, I don't think it has $20,000 worth of improvements. But let's take her out and see if the green machine can sell me. Now we're gonna go over the last positive and negative, and that's actually the driving experience. Now, the positive is obviously the sound, especially when you have the valves open. It has such a aggressive sound to it. It's so cool. It's so cool. I mean, this thing just sounds like an absolute beast. Listen to that. And you get the V8 torque with it. I mean, this has instant response. It's such a clean, clear sound. I'm gonna close the valves for part of our drive. So the sound is great, and I actually love how the 392 drives compared to a regular Wrangler. So you've got more weight over the front axle and a full-time four-wheel drive system. And when you put that together, this kind of drives less like a Wrangler, more kind of like a G-Wagon in terms of how it feels. It's got a more like planted feel to it. And again, the full-time four-wheel drive is going to affect the steering, right? The steering's more vague compared to a regular Wrangler. Not a big deal. I'm driving an Ineos Grenadier right now. That has like the most vague steering on the planet. Now, I'm going to close this. there's a lot of noise with the 392, not just from the exhaust is good noise. And the fact you can close the valves is great for highway driving so that you don't feel like you're going deaf. But you get a lot of tire noise with this. And on top of getting a lot of tire noise, you also get quite a bit of wind noise at higher speeds. That's why we're going to go on the interstate just so I can kind of demonstrate that for you guys. But I do see that as a negative with the 392 for me. On a daily basis, I commute like 100 miles on average, sometimes 200 miles in a single day. And so going, you know, around town in a Wrangler is fine with the noise. It's not that bad. But sitting in one for 100 miles on the highway, yeah, not exactly the most pleasant experience on the planet. And again, you can really hear the tires. Again, they've increased the insulation a bit, but there's only so much you can do with a convertible SUV. And this is the thing I love about the 392 is you never have to go full throttle. You just kind of partial. And it's got so much power. Now this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's not the worst thing on the planet. It's better than what Wranglers used to be. That's for sure. Like you can still have you can actually have a conversation in this. You do kind of have to, like, I have to raise my voice. But you get quite a bit of wind noise. You get quite a bit of wind noise. Again, not nearly as bad as it used to be. And, you know, I guess one thing is you can always just turn up the radio, right? Crank up the music. And it works to an extent, but it's not perfect. What I will say, I had a Wrangler 4x for the week that had the, I can't think of the name, the Sky Top. That is even worse. So, yeah, I'm glad the 392s have the hard top. That's a big plus in my opinion. So, it's, you know, for me, giving Jeep a second chance, it's definitely tempting. The one thing I will give Jeep credit for is I've now taken like everything off-road that's pretty much everything off-road, and Jeep cannot be beat pretty much in terms, I mean, it's not necessarily the best at like high-speed off-roading still, right? That's where Raptors are always going to shine. But in terms of the balance of middle speed, low speed, and it has some level of high speed ability now with this, the rear axle, they really helped out with the handling with that new rear axle setup. It's super capable off-road. And you can't beat the articulation that a Wrangler provides, the ground clearance, the angles. It is crazy how capable this thing is off-road. So that is something that's also really appealing to me because I go off-roading all the time, and you know, take the kids now, and it's nice having something that's so overly like built and overly capable that you don't even have to think about like, oh, am I gonna be able to go up that trail? It's like, it's a Wrangler. It can go up that trail. So I don't know. It's tempting. It obviously, I don't know if it'd actually do well for YouTube content, but at the same time, seeing as how just general car reviews perform better than the cars that I own in terms of viewership, I kind of go, you know, maybe I should just buy whatever and then just post videos, and if you guys like it, you like it. If you don't, then like, I'm making money off the car reviews instead of the the ownership videos. They don't do as they just don't do as well. So I don't know. That's just kind of my 2 cents. Let me, you guys think. Let me know if you think if I should give Jeep a second chance. If I did give Jeep a second chance, let me set you guys up properly. It would, like 99% chance it would be a green 392. Maybe I consider other colors, but I like the green the most. And I would do the full AEV kit on it this time around. So I would do the 37-inch tall tires with the upgraded Bilstein shocks, the steering stabilizer. I'd add the front and rear bumper. Like, this has a really good setup from the factory, but I like AEV's setup more. It is expensive, but I don't know. I think it's like, if I'm going to do 392 again, I want to go all out and have like the most capable vehicle possible. So sorry, I just want to make sure I don't hit anything here. Probably gonna want to squeeze a little bit more to the side. Anyways, I'd want to go all out. So let me, you guys, think about that. I'm kind of looking at several different options. I don't think I mentioned this at the beginning of the series that I've been doing. I need to downsize to 3 vehicles. Like, that has to happen. I cannot stand having 4 vehicles anymore. And that's why I'm looking at like either selling one of my vehicles and just keeping something else, or potentially trading 2 vehicles. So that's kind of where this is coming from. Let me know your thoughts.